Good morning. It's Wednesday, and so therefore that means it's World Peace Wednesdays today. So I'm going to give people a minute to pop in, if they're going to pop in live, and give everything a chance to sort of catch up. So how's your day going so far? I know for us, it's just really early. I mean, it's 8. Day hasn't really gotten deeply rolling yet. And I know some of you watch from Europe or the other side of the United States or even Australia. Although if you're over in Australia and Japan, most likely, hopefully you're sleeping. But anyway, I hope your Wednesday or Thursday, whatever day it is for you, is just off to a wonderful start. And so one of the considerations I have as I'm thinking about each of these World Peace Wednesdays, which is funny because you might think I plan them. You might think I actually, sorry, I realize I don't have all my sounds off. Sorry, excuse me, a little technology thing here that I'm trying to work out, and I don't think I can while I'm live. So forgive me if it's making some beeping sounds. There was one level of notifications that I forgot to turn off. I did 2. I didn't do the 3rd, but that's all right. All right, continuing on. So I don't plan these ahead of time in that I don't have a topic for the day. I really just tune in and mostly to what Ishtar wants to talk about. And I may have an inkling of it right before we begin, or I might not even know until I start talking. So they're never deeply planned because I love the spontaneity. Now, I didn't always like that. When I first started channeling, if I was going to do anything in front of anyone for any reason, I felt like whether it was the High Council of Orion or Ishtara or the angelic realm, like I felt like I really had to know what they were going to talk about. It was just my nervousness and my sense of human control, because the whole thing really made me feel so uncomfortable. I was willing to do it, but I just gave me this little illusion that that I had some control in it. And so I would always ask, what are we going to talk about? And they would end up telling me. And then it got to the place where they would tell me something and then I start channeling and then it was something totally different. And so I've learned to just sort of take my hands off the wheel and trust what they want to say. And it usually works out incredibly well and much better than anything I would have thought of. And that's what time and experience has shown me. But today, the inspiration I had as I was getting ready to come on live was really around the idea that there are places in our lives where we more easily connect with peace. And we can actually connect with them as a physical location. Like a lot of people feel a lot more peaceful when they disconnect out in nature. And there's so many reasons for this. There are literally studies for it, but just the energy that you experience in nature gives us easier access to feeling peaceful, connected, centered, however you want to say it. And so sometimes we go out in nature to actually recharge, which is wonderful. I love to do it. Paul loves to do it. Almost anyone I know loves to get out into nature to recharge. And we can't always do that. Yet our body and our physiology can respond to us imagining ourselves being there. So one way to deeply connect with our own sense of peace, to anchor our self in a sense of peace and understanding and groundedness and centeredness in our own life. Even if we are in a busy moment, maybe you live or work in a big city and you can't find a little slice of nature to go to easily or in that moment, you can always take a moment to close your eyes down and imagine yourself being there. Imagine the sights, the sounds, the smells, all of it. So what in nature would you hear? What's the place in nature that you would go to recharge and feel really great? For me, pretty much all nature I love. I'm really crazy about the mountains. The sound of the wind through the pine trees. I don't know what it is about that, but it's like one of the best sounds for me ever. The smell of pine trees, the damp smell of pine needles on the ground in a deeply forested area, I just love. Um, and then there are always the bird sounds and other animals that you might hear. It it just takes me to a very centered place. But I also really love the beach, having grown up in Southern California, and the beach was never very far. Until now, I've never lived more than 30 minutes away from the beach, maybe 40. So being at the beach, my feet in the sand, smelling the salt air, hearing the water, being able to walk along the edge of the sand and the water, it's so rejuvenating for me. So this idea of being in nature can be so revitalizing, so regenerating, and we can connect with it through our mind and through our imagination. And here's the key with this: if we are imagining those places that we feel that we connect with peace deeply in nature, and bring all of our sensory awareness to it, our body can respond, our mind and our emotions respond exactly in the same way as being there. Now, our human self would rather have our toes in the sand and feel the water lapping up against our ankles. We get that. Or my body would really prefer to actually be sitting amongst the pine trees and hearing the wind and smelling the way the air smells infused with the pine scent. But we can still imagine it, and we can still bring that energy into our physiology, and it can literally shift us from there and recenter us into the gifts that we feel when we are in nature and we are connected that way. And we can bring those moments into our life as often as we can to again recenter in peace, because the whole point of World Peace Wednesdays is finding ways to really deeply install a greater sense of peace and trust and faith and understanding within ourselves first. And then it becomes a foundational vibration within us, and we literally emanate that out in the world. We radiate it just like light radiates out, and it becomes very magnetic for more peace to come towards us, more centeredness, more calmness, more trust, and more understanding. But what it also does is, just like a beautiful fragrance, that if we're centered in peace, it emanates out from us. And those around us receive it as well. Again, just like a beautiful fragrance that emanates from a flower or the trees, or even the smell of the ocean water. It's emanating out. We receive it, and we receive the benefit of it. That same peace that emanates from us can be received by others around us. We can infuse places and people with a greater sense, easier access to peace as well. So that was this beautiful inspiration I had this morning as I was considering what was going to happen this morning. And I was talking to Ishara about it. And so I invite all of you to just play with this energy of, where's a peaceful place for you? Where's the place that you feel like you come back to you? You have a greater opportunity to be centered in you. It could be one particular place that you maybe have gone to for years, or maybe you just were there once and you had such a wonderful time, you always long to go back there again. Bring the energy of that and that experience and how you physiologically, emotionally relate to it and what it does for you. Infuse yourself with that experience as often as you can. And there's nothing wrong with your imagination. Sometimes when we were little, if we had a vivid imagination, some of the adults around us may have tried to squash our imagination. But in fact, it turns out that our imagination is a creative pathway for us to manifest. So as we're in a beautiful, connected, peaceful place, even if we're connecting to it because we're on a subway going to work in a big city, and we may be far removed from the place of peace or the place of centeredness that really enlivens us, it still allows our physiology to get to that place, to get to the gift of, I think of it as downshifting into more of who we really are and less impacted by the current environment we find ourselves in. So with that being said, I hope you enjoy that. I'm going to just put my glasses on because I see some people are here and some messages. So thank you all for being here. So Paul said he loves being in nature. He does, and so do I. And hi, Cindy and Billy. Thank you for being here. Cindy said, this is so perfect. I already made a plan to go to the botanical gardens today. That is such a perfect place to go. You can be in the middle of a city and still find those pockets of nature. You're absolutely right, and so invigorating. I know that when Paul and I go to Tokyo, we're in the middle of this huge city, but what is so beautiful about Tokyo is all over the place, there are these gorgeous parks and shrines. And you could be smack dab in the middle of high rises and walk into these beautiful parks, these beautiful shrines that are sanctuaries, really, that are just always gorgeously landscaped. And in the middle of the city, you feel like you've entered another world. So there are places like this all around us that we can find that are little pockets that give us those places of peace and deep connection. So thank you all for being here. If you're watching live, I really appreciate it. And if you're watching later on, thank you for being here for that too. So let's take a moment now, and I'm going to tune into Ishtara, and I'm going to guide us all in universal sphere. If you don't know the universal sphere, it's okay. Just follow along, open to receive. And if you do, you can follow along with your own universal sphere as well. So I'll just be quiet for a moment to tune more deeply into Ishara. Greetings, great beings of light. My name is Ishtara. And this message you've been hearing this morning is so vital, so essential on so many levels. It's essential for the respite. It's essential for your peace of mind. It's essential for moments of recentering and refocusing. And it could be recentering and refocusing on you, because perhaps your life keeps you very externally focused. And you take those few moments to come back to yourself and ground into yourself, which very much feeds everyone, feeds you as you make choices on your own behalf to show up for you. It's very enlivening because when one is consciously engaging in finding a place of peace of being recentered, of feeling grounded in themselves, or even reconnecting to the energy of nature. One is being very intentional also about how they're living, correct? What you're doing is taking that moment, whether you're in the place where you're physically going somewhere, or whether you're in the place that you are perhaps even just sitting in your office chair with your eyes closed, imagining yourself and taking yourself on a deep journey there. You are in a place of intentionally choosing yourself, intentionally choosing the way you would like to be present in that moment. And you're in a place of choosing how you wish to move forward in the rest of your day from that moment forward. And this energy of choosing how you want to be and how you want to relate to yourself and the world is really critical. It's critical because the energies of the world around you are very compelling. They're very magnetic, you could say. They draw you in. Some people would say, well, they're overwhelming because there's so many needs. There's so much coming in. There's always more to do. There's always someone else who needs something from me. And so it can easily feel like your life is not your own. And especially with all the technology, which is very positive in terms of a lot of connection and information and a sense of empowerment from that, but it also is a huge influx of energy that can keep you from really deeply connecting with yourself. So all of this being said is when you're in a place of choice of, I'm going to take a few moments to reconnect with that place of myself, that, and maybe the place on the planet where I feel the greatest sense of peace, the greatest sense of connection. I can allow other stresses to easily fall away. That puts you in this place of choice in your life about how you want to be in the world. And that gives you a greater sense of breathing room. It gives you a beautiful sense of empowerment because you've chosen anything. Be in choice about how you want to be with yourself and how you are in the world. And from that place, then you can expand those moments out to be able to feel like, even if you're in the middle of a business meeting, or you're in the middle of a very compelling family moment where, you know, all your kids need you in that moment, and there isn't time to center on yourself because you've taken those moments of choice at other times. You emanate, you hold a greater capacity for yourself and those around you. So let's begin now by moving into the space of the unified field that is accessible through the universal sphere. So if you're in the right place and the right moment in your life, you're invited to close your eyes down and allow the rest of the world to just withdraw to the background of your awareness for a few moments. And sometimes that's a little hard to do because our minds get busy, our emotions want to keep them at the forefront. But you can literally acknowledge your mind and your emotions as if they're, in a sense, someone else, and be able to say, just step back for a few moments. I'll get back to you in a minute. And as you've heard before, bring your awareness and your attention to your breath. Your breath is really this pathway to bring you into this present moment. Because as you're observing your breath as it flows in and out now. You're not observing the breaths you did 5 minutes ago or 6 days ago. You're also not observing the breaths you're going to be doing in the future. Be in this moment with your breath and coming into center with yourself. And this universal sphere experience will be slightly different. Because as we're connecting into the unified field where there is that beautiful field of infinite possibilities, where we are connected to the multidimensional aspects of ourselves, which does create a sense of wholeness and completeness. What we're going to do during this experience is invite everyone to bring to mind a place on the planet, out in nature, where you feel that sigh, that relaxation, that exhale, where you feel that your stress level goes down. And you may have many places on the planet that feel that way. You could be in a desert, or you could be in the mountains, you could be by the ocean, and all of them, just because you're in nature, allows you to feel that relaxation and that centeredness. So if you say, I love all of it, just choose whichever comes up first. And as you're in this space, really open to all the sensory input that you receive while you're in that space. What does it visually look like? What do you see when you're in that space that allows you to feel so peaceful, connected, wonderful, coming home to yourself? What do you see? Notice the colors and the textures. Notice what's quite close to you in your vision, field of vision, and notice what's in the distance. And as that comes very deeply into focus, now open up to the next level of the sound. What do you hear when you're there? There are going to be some sounds that are very obvious from the beginning. And then as you listen more, there are sounds that are layered beneath the most significant sounds. What are those? And as you notice the greater detail through the sights and through the sounds, you move more deeply into this experience, this vision, this reconnection. Now, where you find yourself, can you smell anything in the air? What do you notice? And once again, what do you notice first? And as you really focus on the smells, what are in the deeper layers? And if where you find yourself is a place that you can touch, what would you be touching? What is the texture? How does it feel on your body, in your hands? And now bring in the quality of the air. Notice the temperature. Notice if there's movement. Feel how the air feels on your skin, allowing yourself to go very deeply. And now, as you've brought yourself deeply into the sensory experience of this place that brings you the sense of peace, notice your sense of peace. Calmness, centeredness. You might have a sense of unity with the space around you. You may feel an energetic connection between yourself and the physical environment you find yourself in. And anchor this within yourself. And you can even anchor it by either out loud or in your mind. Have the words that you would describe how you feel. Notice your sense of peace and connection. And this universal sphere, while you're doing this, is being infused into your physical body and energetic space, allowing you to anchor more deeply into the energy of peace, for you to have that so securely within your experience of life. You can deepen the experience even more by bringing the words I am into your expression and your connection with how you're feeling. Because you may have some very unique words or descriptors for how you're feeling right now. You may find yourself feeling content or connected, relaxed. A clarity of focus could come in. Allow your breathing always to be just very full and complete as you're going through this. Opening up your heart space. And then really receive the experience you're in this moment. Receive it that it's your moment, that you've been in a place of choosing to be here and be now and take these moments for yourself. And you can ask the inner parts of yourself or the higher aspect of yourself that would be engaged in this experience with you. Excuse me. If there's a word or a term that you can anchor this experience in for yourself for the day? What would that energy be that is a good anchor point for you that can help you reconnect with this moment? And just allow and trust whatever that one word or couple of words are. And hold that near and dear. And if you need to, you can jot it down so you can go into your day with that word. You can use it even as you move back into your day on a repeat. Use it almost like a mantra or an affirmation to allow you to stay deeply connected to this moment, even if you're in a busier moment of your day. And now take a nice breath in for yourself. Really receiving this experience. Can you be grateful and thankful for who you are in this moment? Feel the gratitude of you. And then when you're ready, please open your eyes. So welcome back. Just have to put my glasses back on again so I can see the screen a little bit better. Thank you all for being here. Those of you who are, really appreciate you being here. And if you have a word or some sort of terms that would encapsulate what you experienced during that, please pop them into the chat. We'd love to all hear and share what that's like for you. And one of the things that Ishtara was saying to me while I was guiding you is, she said, you need to tell them that while you were talking and taking them on that journey, that you did 3 universal spheres for them as well. So I did 3 universal spheres for you to really connect with more deeply that sense of peace, that sense of oneness. So the universal sphere has been such an incredible tool that was brought through to us. How many years ago? Almost 8 years ago now. And it just, what we know and understand about it has just keeps growing, keeps changing, keeps deepening because our ongoing work with Ishtara and the fact that so many people around the world have learned to use it, and they're always sharing and trying it new ways. And we all learn from one another that way about how we live in a more unified field and how we can enhance our lives and the lives of others with it as well. So just in case anyone's on here who hasn't learned to do the universal sphere, we teach regularly online. We have other instructors in some different parts of the world who also teach. So we'd love for you to learn how to do the universal sphere for yourself and keep yourself always and your loved ones and your situations in a very high vibrational, connected, multidimensionally entrained field. And it's incredible how you can live your life that way and really shift your experience of life. We do have a class coming up this weekend we're teaching a little differently. We're teaching it over 2 half days instead of 1 full day. And the reason for this is because we've had a number of people join us from particularly Europe, but other parts of the world where our full day course, where we teach it in the full day relative to Pacific time, really doesn't work for them unless they want to be up in the middle of the night. So if you want to join us with a Universal Sphere class, we are teaching it this weekend online, and actually, what I'll do is I'll pop the link in here to it, or Paul, if you're still watching, maybe you could pop the link into the chat, and we'll make sure that it's maybe underneath the video as it's posted. But we still have room. You know, the wonderful thing about teaching online is we're not limited by space. So if you feel drawn to learn this for yourself, please join us. We have this incredible group of people from all over the world who are actively engaged in using the universal sphere on a regular basis. We do consider everyone who uses the universal sphere, who've learned it, our family, and it does have that feel. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate your time. Oh my goodness, I think I missed some messages. I'm sorry, I didn't see messages popping in. Cindy said, oh, wait, Tim said the word or the energy he felt was oneness. Wonderful. Perfect, right? When we feel that connected. And Cindy said blossom. Oh, that's beautiful on so many levels, right? Paul said peace, silent, and centeredness. And you're welcome, Cindy. And Bonnie heard or experienced nature is nurture. It is, isn't it? A oneness with our world and beyond. Yuko says, the world is so calm around me. And then Paul did pop in the link. So he was still here listening. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. I do these on Wednesday morning as often as I can. It's posted to do it every Wednesday. I get on here when I can. Sometimes I've got a little too much going on during the day, or I've had a little too much going on in the evening, and it's honestly just a little too much to get here in the morning. That's just truth. So you know me, I like to be very honest. So I get in here as often as I can, and I want it to keep growing, and for all of us to connect with a greater sense of our own peace, anchor it in ourselves, and really radiate that out into the world, and really be able to have it shift how we view the world, so the energy we hold about what's going on in the world today is one of peace and trust and transcendence above some of the tumultuous things that we see going on that can be very distracting. So I love you all. I wish you a wonderful Wednesday, a wonderful day, evening, afternoon, wherever you are, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.